Okay, so today we're going to be going over some more commands and what the commands do. So first on the list is the while command. A while command is very similar to a for loop. Let's give that a capital. And it's similar in that it runs a set of commands until the, or really, while the parameters are true. So for example, you'd have while x is greater than 10, and it would run the commands not until, but while that is true. So if you wanted to count down from x is 15, so if we do x, I can't be bothered to find the actual arrow. It goes beforehand, so it'd be 15 store x. You use the actual store arrow. You wouldn't use a dash less than sign, greater than sign. And then you'd say x minus 1 store x. And then you might want to count how many times you're running the loop or do some other commands. But what this will do is eventually increment it down. I forget the programming word for that. But you'd subtract 1 from x while x is greater than 10. And then once x is not greater than 10, it will then end. And I keep correcting myself because the repeat command is very similar. It just does the opposite. It repeats it until something is true. So if you have the same exact command, it's going to repeat the set of commands until x is greater than 10. And so if you had 3 store x, and then you had x plus 1 store x, it would run this until that parameter is met. So here it's like a negation, sort of. So you're running this command so long as this parameter is true. So this has to be true currently, and then you're trying to, I guess, quote unquote, disprove or make it not true. And that's how you get out of it. That's how you end without having to have the end. Because that ends the commands, but while it's running this, it's going to keep going forever unless the commands that you set eventually negate the parameters that you gave it. So if you had no x in here, it would just keep running this forever, and you'd have to manually step in as the runner of the program to stop the command from running, stop the program from running, which you can do. I think you try pressing the on button. Wouldn't recommend it, but if you do your programming right, you shouldn't have to. So the repeat command is the exact opposite. Very similar. Well, it'll run a set of commands, but it'll do it until it is true. So this parameter is not true currently. X is in fact less than 10, but we're running this command until this parameter is true. So what you can do with the while command is actually just write this as 1 if you wanted to run this forever. You'd have to have an exit, so you'd have like a goto, and that would tell so you actually would have like if x, which really, if you had the while command, like you really shouldn't need the while 1, which, okay, let me explain that. So when you evaluate this parameter, it doesn't evaluate as, oh, is x, no, it checks it and then it outputs a 1 or a 0 as a binary. 1 being true, 0 being false. And I really haven't gone over true and false statements, but what that then says to the command is, okay, is this not true, right? Is this false? Is this 0? And currently, yes, it is 0. So if you just put a 0 here, it won't even, it'll just read the command as repeat as false, and it'll keep running this forever because until this is true. But you input a 0 there. So there's no metric that it can actually, quote-unquote, disprove. Same thing with here is it'll keep running this forever because, or until you stop it or you write a different command in there or different parameter, because this reads true, and so conversely you could have this as repeat 0. in which what that means is repeat forever, because this is never just going to happen to be a 1. So, like I said, very similar. They run a set of commands um, until the parameter is true or false. So this runs it until it is false, and this runs it until it's true. So this one runs it while it's true, and this runs it until it's true. Yeah, I think I get that. I think I explained it. I probably kicked that horse one too many times. All right, so pause and wait are very similar. Wait, you can put in, it says 100 seconds maximum, but you put in like 10, and it'll, wherever you put this in the series of commands, like if you put it in halfway through, at the beginning, whatever, it will stop everything that the calculator is doing for 10 seconds. And you can put it in for a maximum of 100 seconds. So if you wanted to like make some really cheap prank on your friends, just find one of their programs or put a program on there. Be like, oh, this is the quadratic formula, which I will make a video on. I think I already did actually. And it'll just wait for like 100 seconds. And they're like, what is it doing? What is it doing? And they'll freak out and be like, it's just waiting. Because I told it to wait. Pause is, I think, waiting for input. The explanation that I was given was, oh, 1 second. Sorry, I had to sneeze. What pause does is it just pauses and waits for input. Not that it's recording the input, which you can actually do. That's how people make Super Mario Brothers and Flappy Bird on their calculators. I think by using the pause command, like, well, I forget. I haven't seen those commands, those programs to make those games. But I think that's, I remember seeing something with that. Anyway, it pauses until input is given, and then once the input is given, it continues on with the program. So I can't think of a situation where you'd want to use that, but that's a command. Might not ever use it. Keep it in mind. In case you're like, wait a second, could I just use this? Can't tell you how many times I've done that. Why am I making a whole for loop when I could just use a while loop? Anyway, label and goto. So I was talking about up here as goto, which is an exit parameter. I talked about it in one of the other videos. But specifically what it does here is you have label 10, and then you have like goto z, right? Or actually, even better, you just have goto 10. So this is like a bookmark. This is it's telling the calculator or the program, hey, this is a section that I want to designate as special. I'm saying that this is section 10, right? And when you say goto, it's going over all of the different sections that you have, all of the different labels, and it's telling you to pick specifically this section, this section 10, this label 10, and go there. So you could make a forced for loop, right? So you would make this as your loop. This would be your parameters, and then you would say, if x is greater than 10, then go to z, and you'd have to have another label. If you have a goto command and there's no label corresponding with it, then it'll be like, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? Because you're telling it to go effectively nowhere, because it doesn't know where you want it to go. Like if you plugged into your GPS, I want to go to the city of Atlantis. It'd be like, what? So then you'd have your other commands, and you'd say x minus 1, store x, right? And then it would keep running this. It would say, okay, is x greater than 10? No. Okay, cool. So it's going to skip that command because that's, we know, if, and then it's the next line is the then. So if that's true, then run this command. But because this is false, then run this command. Sorry, you'd have your x. Nah, I always forget that. 13 store x. There you go. So we know that x is greater than 10, so it's not going to run this command. It's going to then subtract 1 from x. However, if x is in fact less than 10, then might be screwed. I think we'll just skip over all this. Anyway, it's then going to say go to 10, so you're going to go here, you're going to check it again, and then if it is, then it's going to just spit you out, but if it's not, it's going to keep running this. And this is what I had earlier in the physics program when I was doing the kinematics. Something very similar. I wanted to rerun a certain section to make sure I had all the variables, all the output variables that I wanted. So I just forced it to rerun a certain section with the given inputs that I had already had. Anyway, that's how go-to and label work, and yeah, I'll have to figure out something. Oh, menu's a good one. I'll talk about menu in a bit, and program, and yeah, Delvar is pretty cool. Anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe. I will be putting out some more videos on these, on the quadratic equation, quadratic formula, that stuff, and then how to actually access these commands and the catalog on your calculator, so that you can see how these things work on your own calculator without having to download this software. So, like I said, like, subscribe. Don't be afraid to comment suggestions, things you want to see, questions that you have. What does this mean? How do you use this? Problems that you had with other programs, with some of my programs. And don't forget to show your work. Most important thing. So, see you guys in the next one.